Hey traders, welcome back to another daily profit and loss recap. On Friday, May 12th, I was able to lock in a $1,871 profit with just one single stock. In this video, I'm going to talk about my thought process behind the trades and explain to you why I bought and sold at the prices that I did. Okay, so without further ado, the one stock that I traded on Friday was SPRY. SPRY was a big gap up in pre-market. Again, if you've been watching these videos, you know that this is how I take most of my trades. I find stocks that are gapping up, and then I look for that momentum to continue in market hours. So in that sense, SPRY was no different. I posted over in the Market Master group during pre-market. SPRY was one of my top watches for a gap and go this morning after two big sell-off days and a short sale restriction today. So I was looking for an opening range breakout to scalp that trade. Taking a look at the daily chart at the time, we could see this is what I meant by a big recent sell-off. It was trading at over $6 per share, and then a couple days later, it's all the way down to a low of $3.99. So after that big sell-off, and now that the stock was gapping up, there was simply a good chance that people that were short selling down here were going to get caught in a little bit of a short squeeze. On top of that, being that it was short sale restricted, that just essentially means that short sellers are unable to drive the price down by selling at the market. So when they short sell, they have to place an order above the current price in order for that position to be executed. And all of that kind of ties into a regular short squeeze, and that's kind of the thought process behind why I was looking at SPRY for a gap and go on Friday morning in the first place. Now, as far as the trades themselves go, we had opening range breakout levels posted, of course, on Friday like we do every morning, and for SPRY, the opening range breakout level was $7.32. However, before we even got that opening range breakout level, I posted that all of the dips into the 650s have been bought up very quickly so far with SPRY, and what I meant by that was simply what we see here on this 1 minute chart. All of these little dips down into the 650s come straight back up, and on top of that, we see that there is a little bit of a double bottom forming here in the 650s as well. So I posted that and I got into a small position at the time, basically just expecting that this opening range breakout was going to happen. So if we take a look at the chart here, we can see, of course, here following that move from the 650s, we end up getting our opening range breakout, pushes back above VWAP, and it kind of just goes straight up from the 650s all the way up to a high of 965. Now, like I mentioned in a few of these videos before, if you're looking for the area to lock in profits on your trades, this isn't going to work perfectly 100% of the time, but it can give you a great idea of where a stock is likely going to reverse if you take a look to the left of your chart and you look for past key levels of support or past key levels of resistance. And what we see here, if we go to the 1 minute chart just to give a clearer picture, we could see in pre-market the $8 level on multiple different occasions was acting as a level of resistance. If we just go ahead and draw this line here, we could see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then after it pulls back below again, 5 separate times where the $8 level was acting as a bit of resistance. On top of that, the next key level I would say would probably be this high up here, which happens to be exactly at $9. So $8 and $9 are potential levels of resistance. There's a good chance the stock is going to pull back from those levels. And that is the thought process that I had, and that's why I started to lock in profits into these key levels. So my average was just under $7.20 per share, I believe, on my first trade. I should mention, by the way, that I took two separate trades in SPRY. My first trade was with 2,000 shares, and that's when I had a $7.20 average about. And I sold 1,000 of those shares up into this $8 resistance area, and then I sold the other 1,000 up as it got closer to the $9 resistance area. So as always, I left a little bit of profit on the table here with this trade, but that's always going to be the case. You can never expect to buy the exact bottom and sell at the exact top. So I'm not disappointed with that. And actually on that trade itself, I was able to make over $2,000 in profits. So my second trade is where I actually gave a little bit of those profits back. As we can see here in the Market Master group, we had some traders locking in profits. There was a really nice breakout, obviously, up into the $9 area. Big shout out to Pilot Gary in the trading chat. I know that this is, I believe, his first week here in the group, and he was able to make some money on this trade. He actually kind of lucked out and sold at the exact top up there at $9.65. So that doesn't happen too often, but it's really cool to see, and I'm glad to see our team of traders making some money on these trades as well. But I mentioned somewhere in here that I was looking for potentially to get into a second trade on a dip buy or on a pullback. And I didn't really notify the chat that I was getting into this other trade because I was much less confident in this one. And because of that, that's why I also took a 1,000 share position this second time around versus the original position that was 2,000 shares. And that's really important if you're getting into a second trade. That's not really a setup that you trade as commonly, and you already have some profits locked in that you don't want to give back completely. Take a smaller position and maybe try to make a little bit more on top of that original trade. But don't get greedy and think that you already have this big cushion of profits that you can use, because that's how you end up giving back all of your profits from the previous trade. With that being said, I got into a smaller position here as it was consolidating and trading sideways above the VWAP. My average there was in the 830s, and basically this was a pretty quick trade. I didn't take a big loss on it, obviously, but I started to notice all of these long upper wicks coming in anytime it spiked up into the 850 area, and I was just getting less and less confident in this trade the longer that it consolidated and the longer that it failed to start bouncing back up. That to me just told me that there is not really a lot of demand on this pullback, and I was expecting it to start breaking down from there. So I sold in the low 8s. I took a couple $100 in losses on that trade, and sure enough, it started to break below VWAP, and for the most part kind of just traded sideways under $8 per share for the rest of the afternoon. There was another solid trade opportunity on Friday afternoon from the trade plans that I just want to go over very quickly. The trade plans for Pola on this day were that there was no follow through from Thursday morning's gap up, and there was a lot of overhead supply in the 160 to 170 range that I'll be using for a short opportunity on Friday. So essentially I was just looking for a short opportunity into this high volume area from the volume profile. To me, when a stock recovers back into these areas, there's a pretty low risk of them breaking through and ramping up to new highs unless a ton of new volume comes into these stocks. So when you get those bounces back up into those levels, it's a great opportunity a lot of times to short sell to profit from them coming back down from those levels. So that's what I was looking for with POLA. Unfortunately, I was not, I wasn't paying too much attention to it at the time that it did get up into that area. So I did miss out on that short opportunity, but as we could see, it peaked exactly in the 160s as expected, and it pulled all the way back into the 130s. But anyway, that was Friday's trading for me, and that's a wrap on the first week of me doing these daily profit and loss recaps. As you can see, so far I've had 5 profitable days doing these recaps. As much as I'd like to keep that momentum up, I do want to say that there are obviously a ton of lessons that can be learned from losses, so just make sure to stay tuned, keep watching these videos. Obviously, there are going to be times in the future where I have red days, even red weeks overall, and I'll make sure to post videos on those days as well because there's going to be a ton to learn from those losses. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video and you want to hear about the stocks that I'm trading real time, and join us in our trading chat as well as get access to our detailed trade plans, watch our live custom scanner streams, and get one-on-one support to help you become a better trader, make sure to join us in the Market Master group. You can get started and try it out for 100% free, and there's going to be a link down below in the description to do so. But anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and good luck with your trading.